This is the invisible pencil experiment. Doesn't look terribly invisible right now, does it? So what I want you to do is find one pencil or a pen, but I'm using a pencil right now, and a friend. So you need a friend to do this with, because you can't really do this one to yourself. Ask your friend to stand in front of you, so they're facing you now. Now I'm going to pretend to be your friend putting their hand up, because you want to ask your friend to put their hand up in front of you. So there's your friend's hand right in front of you there, right? Now what I want you to do is take your pencil, tell them, could you please close your eyes, because they must close their eyes for this one. And I want you to take your pencil, and we're going to use these two fingers, say the pointing finger and the one next to it, and take your pencil and make sure their eyes are closed, no cheating. Get your pencil and just do that between their two fingers, just gently tap it there. Make sure it hits both fingers, okay? And ask them how many they can feel touching them, okay? How many pencils they can feel. Take the pencil away and say to them, okay, those same two fingers that I just touched, could you please cross them over? Now you have to cross them quite a bit, because you want to make a little V between, okay? You have to cross them quite a bit. So just next to each other like that won't work so well. I've got to try and get a bit of a gap between. I'm quite lucky I can get a big V in mine. Some people can't do it so much, some people do even more. So make a little V and then get the pencil and tell them they can use their other hand. Some people use their other hand to do it, to help them. And then you get the pencil and you touch it between there. Just again, touch it between the two, down into the V shape, and ask them how many they can feel, okay? So off you go and see what you find out. Now this is really interesting. I wonder if you found out what I do when I do it. Now remember, I can only describe to you what I found out because I haven't got someone in front of me now. But what you find is, when they've got their hand like that, usually this is what happens. When you touch it with the one finger there, no problem at all. The person will have their eyes shut tightly and they can say, yes, I can feel one pencil, or whatever you're using, in this case a pencil, one pencil touching my fingers, okay? Remember, they've got their eyes closed. Then you get them to cross their fingers, maybe get them to do it with their own fingers to make sure they work it. And when you do it that time, amazingly, most people now tell you they can feel two. They say, yep, I can feel two now. Amazing, isn't it? They feel two. Now you, I'm sure, saw this. But what's going on? You've just done what's known as Aristotle's illusion. Now Aristotle, about 2,300 years ago, I think I'm right in saying that number, you can always check it up on the internet or in a book. Aristotle was the first one to do this illusion. He was one of the first people, as far as we know, to start writing down what we understood about the brain at the time, which wasn't so much really. Actually, we don't know that much now, but we do a lot less then. And he was the first one, I think, to discover this weird effect. Your brain has a map of your whole body in here. Your brain has a whole map of where everything is in your body. So for example, if I said, right, put your hand out, touch your nose quick, no problem. And even if I moved your hand for you and said, right, put it up there, touch your nose quick, really easy, you can do it fast. Because all the time your brain keeps a map of where all the parts of your body are. And when we come to your particular hand, say this one, your brain knows where each finger is compared to the other finger. And this is senses all over your body called proprioceptors, which can help your brain build up this map, if you like. Now, think carefully now. I'm going to just stick these two fingers here and do what I did before, because I want you to focus on these two fingers. Now remember, your brain, the map in your brain knows that those two fingers are next to each other, and it knows that the two surfaces that I'm going to rub first are next to each other. The map shows it in there. So when you do that, your brain thinks, with your eyes shut, remember, your brain thinks, yep, I can feel a sensation, and I know that sensation is right next, although I can feel it twice, one on that finger, one on that, I know those two fingers are standing next to each other right now. I can feel it, so it must be the same object. So it's one thing, okay? So that's what you feel. But look what happens now. When you do that, that was the one where most people would say they can feel two. But look what surfaces you're touching. You're touching the surface there and the surface there. And I need you to imagine this. Look carefully. That surface there, they're the ones you're now touching. But normally they're not there, are they? That surface is there. And that surface you were touching, remember there, is on the outside. So normally the two surfaces you're touching there are not next to each other. They're actually well away from each other in your mental map. So when you do this experiment, what we think is happening is, you've got your eyes shut, remember? Your brain senses that sensation touching each finger, but because your brain doesn't expect your fingers to be like this probably, your brain thinks, just a minute, I can feel something touching me here on that bit of skin. I can feel something touching me on that bit of skin, which of course it is like that, isn't it? But your brain thinks, but they're not next to each other. So it can't be the same thing touching me, it must be two things. So that's why you feel two things touching. Okay, what variables could you use? Well, first of all, how about using different pairs of fingers? Now, you might have a bit of a trick with this, not so much on ones that are next to each other, that's still quite easy. Maybe you could just say those two fingers on their hand, or those two fingers. And how about using fingers, this could be a bit of awkward, but give it a go, that are not actually next to each other. So, for example, if I get those two fingers and do it with them, and see if I can cross them over, I can actually do it, and try those two fingers, right? So that one's between, remember, I haven't used that one that time. So in other words, different pairs of fingers and some fingers that are not actually normally next to each other. See what difference that makes. What about using something that's not a pencil? In fact, I've got to tell you, the first time I ever saw this done, it wasn't using a pencil, it was using a marble. So there's a clue for one thing you could try, a little marble. But I'm sure you can think of other things as well. In fact, someone did once use a nose. I wonder how they did that. So it was almost like the extra nose that appeared. But anyway, I'll leave you to ponder that one and maybe think of some other things you could do.